Hey guys, Robert and Robert here. So we found out there's a Florida Gambler coming up and decided we couldn't miss it. The only small problem...
So as you can see, it's no crank, no start. A few things it could be, so we're gonna start with the most obvious and easy and work our way up.
All right, give it a go. So we're gonna go ahead and swap out that starter.
Luckily, if you have one of these Blazers, there's not a shortage of those in the junkyard, so you'll probably find some. All right, guys, well, back from the junkyard, we got ourselves some genuine Bilstein shocks off of a GMC Jimmy. And the good news is, they look like they're in good shape. Despite the age, they're working really good.
We also did get a starter. The starter that we got was off of a 2000 GMC Jimmy. Hopefully it's good. If not,
Take it
Junkyard's
back.
got a 90-day warranty. Luckily, the job to do a starter on this car really isn't that hard. You can see the starter right here. And then basically the way you do it is you come from the bottom. You've got two bolts here on the bottom of the starter, one here and one here. And once those two are out, you can kind of wiggle it around. You wiggle it around until the bolts on these wires are accessible, and then you can just go ahead and take those off with whatever tool. We found it was easiest to just stick an impact in here and just pull them out really quick, but when we put them in, we'll probably be a little bit more careful. So the wire for the one at the junkyard was so short that we actually had to take both bolts off up in there. This one actually has a long enough wire. I don't know if someone spliced something in or what, but you could actually do one of the wires down here and just put the second one on while you're up there. So one of the interesting things about the remanufactured starter that was in the car versus the original one that we got from the junkyard is the junkyard one is almost, I'd say, a half an inch to an inch longer than the non-junkyard one.
Significantly thicker too.
It's significantly thicker starter, and also it's a lot heavier. So I have a feeling that this piece of crap remanufactured one is, well, obviously a piece of crap, but also
Significantly made to be cheaper.
Yeah, so we got the old new starter in. Basically the trick for this, I had to put it in backwards and then kind of spin it all the way around. So it was 180 degrees off from the way it's supposed to go in. And then I turned it around until it was the right direction. Took some finagling around. Now that we know what actually goes in, we're gonna take it back slightly out so I can put the bolts on the front of it and then drop it back in here.
All right, guys.
This is one of the shocks out of the Blazer now. This is one of the ones we got at the junkyard out of actually an older Blazer. So we're going to the strut races. Compression wise, they're about the same amount of pressure to push them down. We're at the bottom of both.
Still going. Still going.
So these junkyard ones are a clear winner. We're gonna go ahead and pop these in.
Not bad for $5 each.
Got our new starter in.
All right, let's see how it goes.
I guess it means we're good. So as you've already seen, the Blazer's pretty much ready to go for the Florida Gambler. On the other hand, current state of the Ranger is still disassembled. So I've roped Frank into helping me today.
Hello.
And today we're hoping to get this engine cleaned up. So this is actually not the engine that we pulled out originally. This is a junkyard engine. So I tested its compression wells at the junkyard, and the compression is fine. However, it did sit for a little bit, and you can kind of see around the edges here there's some rusting that happened while it was sitting. The first cylinder actually looks relatively good compared to the others, but even though this is only a temporary engine, I figured I'd spend a couple hours to actually fully clean it up correctly before dropping it in. Today we're going to be taking this all the way down. We're going to be doing a hone at home with it. So for that, I've got a cylinder hone kit. I got some piston ring compressors so we can put the pistons back in. Got a detail brush set so that we can actually try to clean up the top and sides of the engine a little bit. Some engine degreaser and a cylinder ridge reamer to actually take off this little ridge here before we try to actually pull these pistons out, since I'm actually planning to reuse the piston rings and everything, since this is a Gambler car and I really don't want to spend any more on this engine since we actually have a good engine coming very soon. So first up, we're getting rid of this ridge. Now I've never done this before, However, did watch a guy on YouTube do it. So I think that basically makes me certified to do this. Say that now and then I'll totally wreck the engine, watch. Up the rest of the way, please. Go. So we're ready to take our pistons out. So each of them, going from the back of the engine, each has a dot on the front of it, marking the front area. So there's 4 dots. We know that's the front. We've also gone ahead and we've finished removing the ridge on the top. So the ridges are all clean now. We're just gonna go ahead and make sure we keep our pistons in the right order and pop these out. So we've gone ahead, taken all of the pistons loose, just giving them a little tap so that we can actually get them apart. They're all separated. Now we just gotta, well, pop them out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take the bottom of the rods off. We've taken all the bolts out already. The bearings are staying in place. I've got to make sure I keep those in the right spot when we go to put this back together. So for now, I'm just flipping over each rod one by one, making sure I keep them in the same order. Final rod.
Okay. So those bolts over there, they smell kind of like Chex Mix. You know, that little black crunchy one has a lot of pepper, but these smell worse. Like same kind of flavor, but bad. Yeah, just let everyone know what we're smelling here.
Yeah, there is definitely a scent. You know, they have like the French colognes, like Oudi.
Oh yes.
Oide.
Oide engine.
Oide engine. Thank
yeah,
you.
like
Oide
EAU
engine.
or something, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
Oide engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did our part, so let's see if these actually come out nicely.
It's a boy.
Oh yeah. Good thing we cleaned those walls. Gone ahead and just given it a quick pass on cylinder 1 here, and you can definitely see I didn't do it perfectly right. I can see that the cross hatching's a little off. I'm going to do it again, but it's definitely an improvement over the next cylinder over. It's starting to look more like it's supposed to. Current status: very shiny, getting reassembled. I may have dropped this in the dirt.
So make sure here you oil your walls.
Just oiling my walls. Yes, once the walls are oiled, we're going to go ahead and try to slide these new pistons in. I have a piston ring compressor tool. Never used one before. Watched one video on it, so I assume that just means we know exactly what we're doing. So I watched a couple videos online before I tried to do this, and they were kind of unclear. So I guess I'm hoping I can make this more clear for the next person. First thing is, you don't take this piece and slide it down in the cylinder wall at all. It actually just rests on top, and you actually don't have to have it as tight as it seems like you would. It just has to be like tight enough to basically compress the rings a little bit.
So it goes this way.
Yep, so it goes, that's what we've discovered. Yeah, it goes this way. So on the good side, this isn't a 6-cylinder.
Could have had a V8.
Thanks, Frank. All right, we're gonna try to get one solid shot of how these go in. A couple things I've been doing that have been helping is giving it a little bit of left and right twist. I don't know whether that's actually, I guess we'll know when we get it fully together if that was a mistake or not, because it may have, I don't know, loosen the rings up a little bit, but maybe scoot the rings around a little bit. I don't know. Not a big deal, I don't think. I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going from all the way from uncompressed to in the car. So we're uncompressed right now. I've got it in the tool. I've been doing it with the bottom hanging out just a little bit so that I can line it up with the cylinder. Kind of just going until like I'm not having to push too hard. I'm not pushing very hard to click it all the way. If you crank it down, it just makes it where it's impossible to get it to slide up and down. Oil. Run that around in there. Got a little bit of oil down in there. Hair off of it.
Whose hair was that?
I have no clue how that got on there. Probably the previous owner. You know the stuff that you find from previous owners in your car.
In the cylinder head.
In the cylinder heads. Just probably change the spark plugs. All right, and then give it the reach up. Grab the bottom. A little twist back and kind of just taking it left and right a little bit. Top seems to be twisting along with it. And then, right, take it and come on. And there it is.
And it's in.
We actually managed to get the crankshaft back in. And we got the rod caps back on as well.
We're also listening to Rod Stewart because
We're also listening to Rod Stewart because we're figuring this is going to blow a rod. I don't know, is this still Rod Stewart?
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this I'm actually allowed to play. Can you pause that? So we've got this all, I guess it doesn't matter. It can't demonetize me. I'm not allowed to get ads.
You're not allowed?
No.
Why?
I don't have enough subscribers.
Really?
So I don't have enough subscribers to get ad money. You have to have at least 1,000 subscribers, and I think it's 10,000 watch hours, and I have 60 subscribers. We managed to get the crankshaft back in. The trick that we found was we just got the first dowel pin over here first, and then this side just kind of slid right on with the whole crankshaft in place. For these guys, we've just lightly tightened the bolts so that the pistons won't fall out. We're pretty sure they won't fall out though, because there's a lot of friction on the newly rehoned wall surfaces. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and put the actual crankshaft bearings back in, and then pretty much, I believe we're done at that point. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a nice oiling over so it doesn't rust in the next week while I wait for the rest of my parts to arrive to put this together, and then we'll be putting this back together next week. We got Frank doing 75 to 85 foot-pounds here. This is his first time torquing an engine down to spec. Looking good.
Turns out it's roughly the weight of me falling while holding the bar.
I guess 80 foot-pounds, and
Me at an angle.
I think
like
the bar is
this.
actually bent already.
Is it really?
I mean, there's a lot of force, and I only did spend $12 on that bar.
$12?
Yeah, you're putting your weight into a $12.99
Oh
bar.
my god, I spent 30 on mine.
Yeah, Harbor Freight. And here we are, looking like we did this morning, but this time with honed cylinders. Got these torqued. These were 30 to 36 foot-pounds, and then these were 75 to 85 foot-pounds. One bonus shot. Just this is how everything looks after we got it all back together, cleaned up. They're looking a lot better. They may not be perfect, but I mean, we weren't going for perfection. We were just going for enough for a couple gamblers. Pretty much the final step was just basically putting the pan on top. I'm gonna go ahead and put all 3 million bolts that go around the outside of it on, and then we're ready for when we actually drop this in, put the head on it, and you know, totally that's gonna take one day. Totally. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.